We'll go and get the meeting started with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, everybody, welcome. Everybody here in person and in the YouTube land. Good to have you here to the regular City Commission meeting for Monday, March 23rd, 2026. We'll go ahead and start with roll call, please.
Benson. Here. Birch.
Here.
Brunick.
Here.
Sarda. Conkling.
Here.
Hanoff.
Here.
Mosier.
Here.
Spencer.
Here.
Mayor Villanueva.
Here.
City Manager Leon.
Here.
City Attorney Denherter.
Here.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Next, we'll do the approval of our agenda. Now, right now, I do know that we're going to be pulling items, consent items 1 and 2, so there will be no consent items. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda minus the consent items?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any commission discussion? Anyone from the public? Everyone say aye. Aye. Anyone that wants to vote against it, please say nay. Okay, motion passes. The agenda is approved. And next, we'll do the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of March 9th, 2026. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anyone from the public? Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Okay, the minutes are approved. Next, we have the schedule of bills before us, Commission. Do we have a motion to approve the bills?
Move to pay the bills.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to pay the bills. Any discussion on that? Anyone from the public? Seeing no movement, roll call.
Benson. Aye. Birch.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Conkling.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva.
Aye, bills will be paid. Next, we have the city manager's report.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the Commission, and the public. A few things for you this evening. First of all, I'd like to remind everybody that our mission is working together to provide exemplary experiences, services, and spaces that create opportunities for everyone to learn, engage, and thrive. Also, I want to let people know, if you haven't seen the public service announcement that went out this afternoon, there is a hole in the 23rd Street Bridge. So the commission knows, and maybe some folks in the public know, that that was slated to be replaced this spring. Fortunately, we're right on track, and we pushed that project up a little bit, so we appreciate the Commission's willingness to do that. It doesn't come too soon. So Public Works has blocked off the 23rd Street. We have contacted the contractor. They're going to come down tomorrow and put the full closure for the project together, so they'll stage it as though they're beginning the project, and hopefully they can get started sooner rather than later. I've also contacted Wayne Kindle at the school district, so he's aware tomorrow for busing, but not a big hole, nobody hurt or anything like that, but my understanding is the way bridges work is once it's compromised, the whole bridge is compromised, so thank goodness we didn't find out a different way. So just so the public is aware of that. Also, this evening, Commissioners, on your agenda, the Public Works items pertaining to engineering and Public Works, I've been briefed on. Adam Haberman couldn't be here this evening, so I'll be doing my best to handle those. He's also going to be on keeping an eye on his cell phone, so if there's a question that I absolutely can't answer, I can certainly text him or try to get the answer it. But I do want some questions, because I did spend a lot of time becoming an expert on the projects and the purchases. So you can see me tap dance a little bit tonight. Wanted to remind you that while next week is a bye week, we're still going to get together. So work session next week, 6 o'clock, we're going to have a library discussion. So not often do you all get together and just be able to talk. So we're not going to ask you for any action, but Dana Schmidt and I are going to visit with you following some of the tours you've had of the library and talk to you about the condition of the library, the current library, what your experience was on the tour, questions that you have, and guide you through a little conversation about what it is you might want to see in the future, if anything, at the library. We do have a slight error on the agenda when it comes to the Board of Equalization. So because we're asking for folks to sit on that board, I want to make sure everyone's clear on the dates. So Mayor, when you get to that item, I'll make sure that we get the days of the week correctly stated. So if you'll just, I have it written down here, we can work together on that. Citywide cleanup is coming, so I don't know that anyone has things out yet. I haven't quite seen that yet, but we had one day of summer, so if we have another day of summer, I expect we'll see more. We ask that folks do not put things out on the curb until the 28th. So we'll be starting citywide cleanup on the 6th, and our people will go around the community one time. So once you have something out on the curb and it's picked up, we ask that you not continue to put things out on the curb. Asked the commission to take a look at House Bill 1245, which was signed by the governor. That's the CAPS, what we call the CAPS bill. That was worked on for over 10 years, and I worked with a number of mayors from a number of cities, including former mayors here on that. Mayor Tenankin of Sioux Falls was very instrumental in talking about this bill and really worked hard in addressing, educating communities about this bill. So if it's all right with the commission, I'd like to write a thank you letter to him for his hard work on that bill, and with the mayor's approval, ask Mayor Villanueva to sign that. I think really some of his work and helped put that over the corner there for us to have that tool. And going forward, I'd like to talk to you all about possibly using that tool in the future. Let me see. I know we're going to talk bowling tonight, but I do just want to talk a little bit about hockey. I realize our hockey team wasn't number one, but my understanding is it was still a Cinderella story. And the other thing that I thought was pretty cool is when I was driving home, I turned on the radio and I was like, wait, I know that voice from somewhere. And all of a sudden, there's this voice saying these really cool things. And I was like, who is that cool guy saying these? I was like, that's Dave Spencer, Commissioner Spencer. So good for the hockey team, good for Yankton, and thanks, Commissioner Spencer, for making it fun to listen to on the radio. So any questions for me, Mayor? Happy to answer them. Otherwise, I will let you get to the good business of celebrating some folks with your proclamations.
Any questions for the city manager commission? I do have a question for about the radio announcing, Commissioner. That is pretty cool. Do you have to wear shades, sunglasses while you're doing that because you're so cool?
No, I just wear regular glasses so I can see what's going on out there.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and congratulations to that group.
Yes.
And a lot of people involved there, and it was talk of the town. It was pretty cool, and talk of the state and how Yankton's come where they did. So I know there's a couple of hockey parents out here tonight too. So
Absolutely.
hats off to them.
Yep. Thanks for being part of that. Okay, next, number 6 under routine business. Very exciting here. We have 2 very well-deserved proclamations tonight. I'm very excited to read these. So the first proclamation I'm going to read is for the Cornerstones Career Learning Center 40th Anniversary Day. Whereas Cornerstone's Career Learning Center was founded in Huron, South Dakota, and has for 40 years grown into a leading adult education and workforce development organization, providing essential learning opportunities to residents in Aberdeen, Huron, Mitchell, Vermilion, and Yankton, South Dakota, as well as surrounding rural communities throughout the region. And whereas Cornerstone's Career Learning Center empowers adults to achieve career readiness by offering high-quality adult education, including high school equivalency GED preparation, English language instruction, skill-building programs, and personalized job service development services that prepare individuals for meaningful and sustainable employment. And whereas for 4 decades, Cornerstones has helped countless individuals overcome barriers, gain confidence, and successfully transition into the workforce, strengthening both families and the local economy. And whereas the organization partners with businesses, community leaders, government agencies, and educational institutions to create pathways to employment, foster professional growth, and cultivate a thriving, skilled workforce in South Dakota. And whereas the City of Yankton recognizes the importance of organizations that promote education and career development and acknowledges the profound positive impact Cornerstone's Career Learning Center has made over its 40 years of service. And whereas this center plays a critical statewide leadership role by coordinating and providing professional development for adult education instructors across South Dakota, strengthening the capacity of fewer than 100 educators who collectively serve thousands of adult learners each year. Now therefore I, Mike Villanueva, Mayor of the City of Yankton, do hereby proclaim April 6, 2026 as Cornerstone's Career Learning Center 40th Anniversary Day in Yankton, South Dakota, and encourage all citizens to honor and celebrate this remarkable organization for its dedication, service, and transformative contributions to the lives of adults and the strength of our workforce. Congratulations. Do we have anyone here from Cornerstones? Would you like to say something? Come up to the mic and say something if you'd like to. That's okay. All right, no problem. Can we get a quick picture? Okay. Okay, Cornerstones, thank you for all that you do for our community. Next, we have the Yankton High School bowling coach Patrick King and the Yankton Gazelles bowling team. Whereas Patrick King has served as the head coach of the Yankton High School boys and girls bowling teams since 2013, was selected to the SDBA Hall of Fame in 1999, and is one of the only 3 United States Bowling Congress USB certified silver coaches in South Dakota. And whereas Patrick King has recently been named the 2026 South Dakota USBC Coach of the Year, and whereas the Yankton Gazelles Club high school bowling team recently earned its first ever state championship at the South Dakota High School Bowling Association tournament, making this is the 2nd straight year a Yankton team has won a state bowling title and the 3rd consecutive year that the Yankton Junior Varsity Bucks have won the state title. And whereas, along with his coaching staff, Mr. King has demonstrated exceptional leadership and support, instilling a spirit of excellence and teamwork among the players, representing our community with pride and excellence. And whereas the Yankton Bucks and Gazelles high school bowling teams have shown remarkable skill, dedication, and sportsmanship throughout the season, serving as an inspiration to aspiring bowlers and athletes across the state, and exemplifying the spirit of competition in the pursuit of excellence. Now, therefore, I, Michael Villanueva, Mayor of the City of Yankton, do hereby congratulate the Yankton Bucks and Gazelles bowling teams, along with Coach Patrick King and his coaching staff, and urge all citizens to celebrate the accomplishments of these athletes and coaches. It is here witness thereof, I set my hand and cause the seal of the Yankton, South Dakota to be affixed this 23rd day of March 2026. Congratulations. Please come up to the mic, Coach.
Thank you. Oh, goodness. Well, thank you, Mayor. Before I get started, congratulations to the Yankton hockey team on an outstanding season. To our city leadership, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. On behalf of the Gazelles bowling team and its coaches, please know how grateful we are for this invitation and how very honored we are to be here. Almost exactly a year ago, we were here celebrating, as Mayor just said, the state title won by our Yankton Bucks bowling team. And it's altogether fitting and proper that this day we honor our state champion Yankton Gazelle bowling team. One of the many gifts I receive and enjoy as head coach of this team is the opportunity to visit with our teams prior to every practice and regular season match. So I certainly address in those talks all nature of bowling things, including, and they all know, mental game, timing and balance at the foul line, lane play adjustments as well, and always and every day. Focus on your spare system. Be a spare sharpshooter. And what wins matches and state titles? Spares. Yes, they're well trained. I would also remind them, not only during those talks, not only as high school bowlers, but as young men and women, and always with a smile, because I love doing this, that we coaches consider them top shelf, premium grade, 5-star, first class, and cream of the crop bowling stars and amazing young people. So today I have one more name to use: state champions. So it's my honor and privilege to introduce to you the 2025-2026 South Dakota High School Bowling Association Varsity Girls State Champions. And please stand. Layla Barta, Cadence Bonzer, Caden Bai, Aubrey Putnam, Avery Turner, Macy Weaverstead, and Peyton Whitehead could not be here as well. And last and certainly not least, their awesome coaches, Brian Birch, Todd Kautz, and Terry Norton. Thank you. One of our Gazelle bowlers said to me after the state tournament, after the title match versus Sioux Falls, Washington, and I know she was speaking for her teammates as well. And she said, "Thank you for believing in me." And truly we did. So on behalf of everyone here, to our bowling stars, amazing young people, and now state champions, I say congratulations and well done. Thank you.
Can we do a quick picture, Coach? Coaches? Yeah, I think good idea. I just would like to say I'm so proud of our youngsters getting out there and competing in sports. I know it's not easy. That that a lot of times it's very tough mentally, physically, but I also have to give kudos to our coaches here in Yankton. They are absolutely, we talk about top shelf, top notch. You are all one in a million, and all of you coaches, I've seen you firsthand what you do with our students, and I can't thank you enough. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, next.
Mayor, can we take a point of privilege and let the folks leave the room if they so choose to not want to stay for the rest of the meeting?
Sure. You don't all want to stay? Well, and I thought our girls were to give us like 5-minute speeches before they walked out. Fair enough. Nice try. Nice try.
Unfortunately, Coach Commissioner Birch, you need to stay.
Oh, yeah. He was. Dr. Kendall? Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, well, that cleared out most of our room. So next we have, again, this is public appearance. This is a time for anyone in the public to come address the city commission for items that are not listed on the agenda. Action will not be taken under matters raised under public appearances. You have approximately 3 minutes to speak, and we will not, comments made during the public appearance period of the agenda may be on any subject. There be no attacks against the mayor, members of the city commission, city staff, or other individuals. So anyone like to come up to the microphone? Okay, please state your name.
I got a few things to hand out here quick. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Robert Lindsay, and I currently serve as an airport advisory member on the airport board. Tonight, I'm here representing our local EAA chapter 1029, or what others are probably more familiar with is the YRAA, the Yankton Regional Aviation Association. Currently, I'm serving as the event coordinator for our local chapter, and I'm here tonight to ask you, our city commission, for help. 2 months ago, during our monthly advisory meeting, I brought up some challenges that I'm facing within our Young Eagles program, including a simple way to potentially help combat these issues. However, these talks have failed to make it out of our meeting and to reach you guys, our commissioners. To give everyone some brief background, EAA has been doing the Young Eagles program since 1992. During this time, we've flown over 2.3 million kids. At our local Yankton level, in the past 30 years, we've flown 3,000 kids. Young Eagles are for all children 8 to 17 years old. It is 100% free. The youth typically get a 15 to 20 minute flight, some basic flight information, receive a logbook with their first flight logged, a signed flight certificate, and they also get added to the world's largest logbook. This program is solely geared to get our youth interested in aviation, and as many of you probably know, is slowly dying. I can personally attest to this in my 25 years of aviation, with experiences ranging from flying, working in general aviation, my own contracting business of 16 years, and the last 8 of my 20-year South Dakota Army National Guard career. One thing I can confirm is aviation is hurting, especially finding new pilots. As a coordinator, my challenges recently have been finding pilots, and I've had to reach out to other chapters to help fill these voids. For many years, we've had an extremely dedicated group of volunteers. Unfortunately, they're getting older. They're losing their medical license or certificate, or simply just can't fly anymore. Each pilot that flies these events pay 100% out of their own pocket, and there's no compensation whatsoever. Just as an example, last June alone, we flew 100 kids between 4 aircraft in 4 hours. That event alone, between fuel, oil, and maintenance, and it depends on the aircraft, but typically is costing on average $120 per hour per aircraft. for a total of $480 per aircraft for that one event. And every single one of our pilots that help are happy to do it and will continue to do it. The idea I approached the city with in the past months is one that other airports are doing at their local chapters, and that's fuel incentives. For example, the city of Laverne, Minnesota pays 100% of the fuel cost to any pilot that comes to their airport to help fly Young Eagles. Norfolk also does fuel incentives. So basically what I was simply trying to do is ask for the same offer that we do during our Oshkosh traffic, or the month of July for Oshkosh, which is 50 cents off per gallon. Unfortunately, there are strict FAA regulations when it comes to compensation or reimbursement. So as a chapter, if we even had the means to do it, we simply cannot reimburse our pilots. So to the city, what would be the cost to you guys? Well, during our 4-hour event in June, we use between 169 to 225 gallons for all 4 aircraft. At a 50-cent discount, that would cost the city between $84 to $112. And with that discount, the city still has enough margin to make money on that. Now you might ask, how does this benefit our city? Well, besides the exposure it brings to our airport, we're helping give teachers an incentive for a book reading program. We also get a tremendous amount of people from outside of Yankton County. Last June, out of those 100 kids, 28 of them were from outside of Yankton County, representing 18 families. Some of those were as far as Lincoln, Nebraska, and Omaha, Nebraska. And ultimately, when they come here, they're spending money. I ask you, the commission, to please consider this and add it to your next meeting, next month's meeting for future business. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, is there anyone else out in the audience that would like to come up under public appearances? Okay, seeing no movement, we will move on. Again, we removed our consent agenda items from our agenda, so we'll go ahead and move past those. There is no old business to deal with, so we'll go ahead and move into our new business. Now, we do have quite a bit. I think we have 20, so we'll go ahead and get rolling here. So the first item under new business, item 1, purchase of a 14-foot stainless steel spreader for Public Works Department. Consideration of memorandum number 26-54, recommending that the City Commission approve the purchase of a new 2027 Highway E202XT 14-foot stainless steel spreader from Sanitation Products, Inc., utilizing Sourcewell contract number 062222LFM in the amount of $89,895 for the Department of Public Works Street Division. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve. Any commission discussion?
I just have a simple request, not knowing what all this equipment is, if it's possible to either put a picture of what we're replacing or what the new product, and I don't, we don't need a whole spread of it, but just a nice picture of what it is,
Sure.
so we know what we're talking about.
Okay. Okay, anyone else, commission? Okay, seeing no other mics come on, anyone from the public? Seeing no movement, roll call.
Birch.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Conkling.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Benson. Aye. Mayor Villanueva.
Aye, motion passes. Item number 2, under new business, purchase of an 11-foot stainless steel spreader for Public Works Department. Consideration of memorandum number 26-55, recommending the City Commission approve the purchase of a new 2027 Highway E 2020XT 11-foot stainless steel spreader and underbody scraper from Sanitation Products, Inc., utilizing Sourcewell contract number 062222LFM in the amount of $101,633 for the Department of Public Works Street Sanitation Division.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Seeing no mics come on. Anyone from the public? Seeing no movement, roll call.
Brunick.
Aye.
Conkling.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Birch.
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva.
Aye, motion passes. Next, we have the special events street closure notification policy. This is consideration of memorandum number 26-56, recommending that the City Commission approve the Meridian District alley or parking lot closure notice as outlined in resolution number 26-12. And before I ask for a motion on this, I think we should have a little bit of explanation, please.
So we continue to have worked through our special events policy. So as everybody I'm sure remembers, we started last fall, starting with special events downtown. How do we make them more business owner, property owner friendly? So we've worked through that. But the other thing that we had heard a lot about was the A-frame signs that people are supposed to package tape, clear tape, pieces of paper to with all the information of the date of when the event is and when there's going to be the closure of the street and there's no parking. And people that drove downtown, people that walked downtown, and the business owners themselves did not like the signs. Again, we didn't have enough signs to do one in every parking spot, so we're going every third parking spot. Some of the businesses didn't like them out there during business hours, so then they would fold them up and put them against their building until they closed. And so this is the result of, is there a better way we can let everybody know what's coming up, what's proposed, and then what gets approved? So that is what this memo is about. It takes the use of Thrive, and we, the city, will mark it the first time, and we're going to, just like we mailed our event surveys to all those property owners downtown and tenants and addresses that we had in the Meridian District, we will do the same thing with trying to get them to sign up now into Thrive's notification policy or notification system. So we would like to be able to have event organizers, hopefully, large majority signs up for email or texting, but we will also do postcard mailings for those that, again, opt into it and say, hey, no, I really want to be notified by a postcard sent to me in the mail. So we will give people that option. So that's what this is about. Again, the special events in the Meridian District take 2 commission meetings. And so as a part of the filling out the application, turning something into the city, we, the city, with this application, will work with Thrive, be in communication with the event organizer. A first notification will be sent out to those that have opted in, and they don't have to be just in the Meridian District. So as a commissioner, our department, we will get signed up for it so we see exactly what's going out and we know things aren't being missed. But before that second meeting, so the first meeting is the introduction, second meeting will be the public hearing and the approval time. That message will go out before that, letting people know this is the event that's proposed, these are the dates, this is the hours, this is the meeting where you can come to the city commission if you have any concerns or want to make any public statements. So that's the first notification. At that meeting, if it gets approved, again, we should be 60 days or more away from the event at that point. They now have a 2-week window to send the second notice, which says the event has been approved, and that will arrive 45 days or more in advance of the event. And again, this is to the entire Meridian District, if they so choose to opt in, or anybody in the community. So again, we know from a few comments that came back on the surveys that, well, the event is 3 blocks away, but I didn't know about it, and I wanted to know about it. So again, this way, everybody will know about whatever events are being proposed and then get approved if they have chosen to opt in. If they have chosen not to opt in, then they will continue to be in the dark unless they're reading about it in the newspaper, hearing it on the news of the radio, that it was before the city commission and it did get approved. Those are other ways. Again, we still have spelled out that event organizers, once stuff gets approved, put it on your event Facebooks, city, park and rec, we can do that. We have the government Facebook page that usually mirrors what we put up. And so, again, Thrive will have it in newsletters and their different things. So, again, trying to hit a lot of different avenues to get the information out, since we know the white signs or any other type of signs we've talked about through the years maybe don't quite get the same effect downtown. So we're hoping this is going to be maybe the answer.
Okay, thanks for that explanation. Yes, Commissioner, go ahead.
Todd, quick question on those postcards, and I might have missed it, and maybe it was discussed or somewhere, or at least for the public to know if I somehow, old age, forgot it. The postcards that you were talking about, are those, one, pre-printed? So if so, is it like a pre-printed postcard that an organizer will be able to like pick up and send? And if so, who pays for those postcards? If they're not pre-printed, like, is that something an organizer is going to have to print? And then what about the cost of the mailing? Where is that all, those costs residing?
Yep, so this will be a system that's created inside the Thrive organization and that we're going to work with. That first mailing of postcards will be created with our information of how you can go about using a QR code or going to this website to sign up, to get emails, get texts, or if you want to get a mail-in postcard from in the future, more than just this one that you receive now, call in. We're going to need to get your address and make sure we got everything correct. That first one will do. After that, so we'll use RibFest for an example. It's moving, as everybody should know, RibFest and Chislik Fest have now come together and are actually moving into Riverside Park, so not on the streets. But if it was on the streets, we would work with the RibFest organizer, tell them, you're going to have to go before the commission for 2 meetings. We can look at the calendar and figure out what meetings introduction is going to happen on. The hearing is going to happen on for approval, and let them know that. We'll communicate that with Thrive. That person will then deal with Thrive. There will be a fee to cover the postage or the text message fees. Emails, there's usually not a fee, but Thrive's going to have a fee set up that will pay for both the first and the second notification. And if, for some reason, the event would not get approved, then there can be a refund of some of the funds, since you only had to send out 1 notification for the hearing. Don't need to send out the second notification because the event didn't get approved. But there, we have spelled out what will be on the postcard, email, text. Again, event name, event organizer, event phone number, date that it's happening, times for street closures, times for the towing that can occur, because that can usually is a separate from when the big event times are, which streets are going to be affected or alleys, and that could be a full block or a half block. I think that's about it. So that is a set form, and again, Thrive will pay to send out the text messages and those postcards. Once we know that the organizer has paid Thrive and that this email system is going to go, everything gets put on the agenda and we are tied in together and we move forward.
Seeing some movement coming up to the mic. Please state your name.
Nancy Winandy, representing Yankton Thrive. Your question about it being a postcard, it will likely be a 1-sheet piece of paper sent in an envelope. We are not going to expend the cost at Thrive to actually have postcards printed to save a little bit on postage, which we would definitely spend on the printing of postcards. So what will likely be in an envelope mailed, if that answers your question. And as Todd said, it's a templated letter that is sent out, so it is not promoting the event or any of the details around the event. It is just notification of the closure and those details.
Go ahead.
Can I ask a follow-up question then? Thank you for that, Nancy, because I was just kind of making sure folks understand with this whole new process who potentially might have the cost to do that. My other question then, as you say that, Nancy or Todd, Todd, is it you working with the event organizer and then looping Thrive in, is an organizer going to have to start with you, and then you say, great, you filled out your paperwork, now you got to go to Thrive, and you've got to talk to Nancy? Where is that? I just want to make sure it's not clunky and balls don't get dropped.
Always starts with us. So it'll start with the special events application. So
And I
once-
understand that, I'm just saying,
Once the special events application gets turned into us, then our staff starts to work through the process of how is this going to logistically work. And so then we, the city, will contact Thrive that we have an event that's organizing, and we'll work with the event organizer to contact Thrive. So we're not going to be the middleman on that situation, but we'll put them in contact with Thrive, get the notification stuff done. But everything otherwise, other than the notification, is all of us, city staff, working through the application and all the logistics.
And then on our end, before we would do any mailings, they have to make payment for that before we would send anything out. We initially, as Todd had mentioned, the city is going to send out that initial mailing. There's going to be over 400 items that will need to be traditionally mailed out with all of that postage to get people within the district specifically to get signed up to opt in for the program. We will be doing social media promotion. We will have a page on the website. We'll be having the radio ads to let people know, please sign up if you're interested. We want you to be notified. So we don't know how many people are going to sign up for texting, email, or traditional mail. So as of right now, we have set a fee of $100 for the notifications. If we have 400 people sign up to be traditionally mailed, that fee will not be enough. But we're anticipating a lot of people will choose one of those other less expensive options. And as Todd said, if the event is not approved, they will be refunded half of that fee back. And so once we get more people signed up, we will adjust that fee accordingly, because any additional dollars we will keep in a separate account, so there's no revenue generated to Thrive for doing this process. We want to be clear on that.
thank you.
Also, Nancy, so you said that anybody in the city can sign up for the notification process, correct?
And technically, you don't even need to be in the city. If you're coming to visit and you want to sign up for notifications, anyone can be included in that.
Okay, that's a great idea. Now, when it comes to the closures, though, so the people that all signed up, will they also get then a mailer that says that there will be a street closure?
The people on the application, if they have signed up for the notification system, that is all we are sending to. Once we have those databases set up, if you have not signed or opted in to receive it, you will be receiving nothing.
Okay.
So that's the key. It is on the responsibility of the people in the community. If you're interested, sign up. If you're not, we're not going to spam you or send you all sorts of stuff outside of that first initial mailing to let those within the district know that this is something to sign into. And it will be sent to the people who own the property. So if you have an apartment complex, will be listed in that letter that you need to notify your tenants of this opportunity for them to opt in, because there is no way for us to have the addresses of every single tenant and every single leased space in all of the Meridian District. But we have done our best to identify every street address for that first mailing.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Ross?
I just wanted to throw in a couple points here. You indicated you were hoping this wouldn't be a clunky rollout. I think in the beginning, we can expect there will be a little bit of frustration or heartburn for the people who kind of buried their heads in the sand to a certain extent. They're saying, well, I never knew about that. You know, the angry first calls that come in. I think after the first couple events, people who were upset that they didn't know will be invited to sign up, and then I think the system will kind of settle out in a way that we all expect it will. The other thing I wanted to point out is those who sign up for the text messaging, It'll be, I picture from my conversation with Nancy, is similar to the way the school district does it, where there will be a link that you can click on that will take you to a website that Thrive has already set up that will show you not just the event that you got the notice for, but all of the other events that are also approved and coming up. So that information will be very easy to access for the people who are receiving via email and text message. So I've seen the website. I think this is going to work well. It may be a work in progress, and we might have to tweak it along the way, but I think this is a pretty practical way to start.
And the website is not currently live. We were waiting until the process was approved. Rajiv Sampali, our website designer, has the page done. We have not activated it for the public yet.
I got a sneak peek.
Yes, you did.
That's good.
Todd, from sitting on the committee, I believe, have we planned to reach out to people we know do events that have historically closed down streets to kind of be proactive in letting them know if approved tonight, the process will change? Because we have kind of a database, or Luke has a listing of people that have pretty set. I get the one-off, maybe poker run that could come whenever, but there are other events we know for sure in the past have closed streets. Is there, do you
we've been
envision any
through
outreach
the end
to
of
them?
last year, as we were making changes and proposals, we were sending information to event organizers. So, yeah, we will continue to make this known to event organizers of events in the past.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, good question, Commissioner. Anyone else? Okay. Well, I don't have a motion yet. Would someone like to make a motion to approve this?
Move to approve Resolution 2612.
Okay, so we have a motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Okay, any further commission discussion? Okay, seeing no mics pop on. Anyone from the public? Seeing no movement, roll call.
Conkling,
Aye.
Hanoff,
Aye.
Mosier,
Aye.
Spencer,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Birch,
Aye.
Brunick,
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva.
Aye, motion passes. Item number 4 under new business, this is an introduction. First reading and established public hearing date for ordinance 1106, regulating temporary street closures. Consideration of memorandum number 26-57, recommending the City Commission introduce and conduct a first reading of ordinance number 1106, regulating temporary street closures outside the downtown Meridian District and for parades, and establish a public hearing for April 13th, 2026.
Introduced.
Thank you. It's introduced. Okay, number 5 under new business. Consideration of designated parade routes. Consideration of memorandum number 26-58, recommending that the City Commission adopt resolution number 26-13, designated parade routes, which will assist special events organizers in planning parade routes. And before I ask for a motion on this, Todd, would you please go over this for us too, please?
You bet. So as everybody hopefully knows, as the last 3-4 years, as we've had parade, and again, we don't get a lot of new parades, as parades have come into us, think Old Iron Tractor, Yankton High School Homecoming, Mount Marty Homecoming, those type of parades, music at the Meridian, and now we've got that wrapped up in the, not music at the Meridian, sorry, March to the Meridian, which is a Yankton High School band event, wrapped up now in the 2 different routes. So as everybody knows, we also use this route for our Parade of Lights in December. And so route number 1, you start down, stage on the road down by the park, West Riverside Drive, which is west of Douglas and Levy Street if you're east of Douglas, but along the park there, old water treatment plant area. Stage there, start on Cedar, head north, go to 3rd, head east, and it needs to be done by the intersection of Pearl. They can finish earlier if they want, but that's as far as we would allow them to go. So that's the normal, what we've been using, like I said, Holiday Parade of Lights, Homecoming Parade, some of those type of parades that are already going on. March to the Meridian is the other unique one that we do work with. And March to the Meridian obviously stages on the Nebraska side, marches across the bottom of the bridge, through the Meridian Bridge Plaza, up Walnut and then takes right or heads east on 3rd Street. And again, they are also done by the time they get to the Pearl Street intersection. So that route, though, is for people, pedestrians only. That would not involve any type of vehicles. No vehicles are allowed on the Meridian Bridge other than our maintenance vehicle, and so no vehicles in that route. The other one could be just marching if they wanted, but that one could have vehicles, what we call route number 1 for the holiday parade of lights. So route number 2, just for March to the Meridian right now, that's the only one that we have would use it. And then a question was asked earlier about riverboat days, and so as Ross and I work through this, this would be set up for if somebody would want a different route, they don't like either of these two routes, then they would need to come to the commission and ask for permission to use a different route. Think riverboat days and the longer route down Douglas, then through the Meridian District.
Okay, thanks for that explanation. Any questions for Todd? Then I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more commission discussion? Anyone from the public?
I've got one
Yes, Ben.
quick question for the alternative route. I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me right now. Time before to ask for that alternative route, Todd?
Sorry, what's the question?
Okay, so, again, going back to like the Riverboat Days Parade and an alternative route, an alternative parade route, time before that they would need to ask for that.
Then you're back into the special events kind of application process, and we've spelled out for parades, I think, 30 days in advance. At least 30 days in advance.
Okay, just new rules. We're just trying to clarify. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks for clarifying, Commissioner. Okay, again, anyone from the public? Okay, see no movement, roll call.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Birch.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Conkling.
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva.
Aye, motion passes. Okay, number 6, purchase of a Chevrolet Silverado truck for the Parks Department. Consideration of memorandum number 26-59, recommending the City Commission approve the purchase of a new 2026 Chevy Silverado 3/4 ton 4x4 in the amount of $51,936 for the Parks Department from Beck Motor Company of Pierre, based on the state bid. It is also recommended the City Commission adopt resolution number 26-14 and authorize the disposal, trade, donation, or sale of surplus property. Commissioners, do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any more commission discussion?
As City Manager Leone asked for questions on purchases, could you give us a estimated miles per gallon on this vehicle? Or do you-
No, because this is the Parks Department, and I'm an expert in the Public Works Department, but
My mistake.
Mr. Larson may be able to provide some context.
Sorry, they do not list miles per gallon on the state bid document that I have, I don't think. It's a 6.6 liter, 385 horsepower, but I don't believe they tell me mileage.
10 miles an hour.
No miles per gallon.
Okay. Yep, so again, we have, any other questions? Besides the awesome miles per gallon question?
I think, isn't this the one that was 2004? It's 20-some years old, or?
The one
22
we're
years-
not trading in, we're going to surplus is a 2004
Yeah.
Ford F-250.
Yeah, so it's over 20 years old, the one that they're getting rid of.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any more commission discussion? Seeing no more mics pop on, anyone from the public? Roll call.
Mosier.
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Birch.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Conkling.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva.
Aye, motion passes. Item number 7, purchase of a Bobcat articulated loader for the Parks Department. Consideration of memorandum number 26-60, recommending the City Commission approve the purchase of a new 2026 Bobcat L28 small articulated loader with enclosed cab, general purpose 50-inch bucket, and 26 by 28 snow blower in the amount after trade-in of $52,369.14 for the Parks Department from Titan Machinery of Yankton, South Dakota, based on the Sourcewell contract. It's also recommended the City Commission adopt resolution number 26-20, authorizing the disposal, trade, donation, or sale of surplus property. Commissioners, do I have a motion?
Moved to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion?
I've got a quick question on this, and it regards the last item we surplused, and this item we're trading in. I'm just wondering what those thresholds, like, what our reasoning is between trading something in and surplusing it. I'm asking just more to understand.
Normally, when we, historically, in the Parks Department, when it comes to non-vehicle equipment, so skid loaders, mowers, stuff like that, when we buy new, we see if they will allow us to trade in. Vehicles, normally, we try to surplus. Sometimes they're not in the best of shape, but we try to surplus them. State bid really doesn't allow us to trade in vehicles, so we just don't trade in vehicles, but when it comes to equipment, skid loaders, mowers, we try to trade it in if we can, if they will give us a trade-in allowance.
I'd like to add on to that, if I may. Per state bid law, there are certain thresholds. Anything over $50,000 for equipment has to meet state bid requirements. So that's kind of like Todd said, state bid, they do not allow trade-ins because no two trades are alike. So there's a little bit of limitations based on the value of the equipment. Smaller items such as mowers, there is a little bit of more leeway in order to have the trade-in as an option. Surplus in our end, anything trade-in, throwaway, donating, that's all surplus in our book. So just kind of same terminology, just different ways of how you're looking at it.
So on this item that was it was $57,619, does that, we can trade in on that, or is that correct?
So we are buying this off of a Sourcewell contract, and so the price has been negotiated through the Sourcewell contract, and then this company, Titan, was willing to allow us to trade in and give us some value for the Kubota.
And that jives with what you were saying, Lisa?
I haven't seen the exact Sourcewell contract, so, but I'd have to take a further look at it with that. I'm not sure on the details of this purchase.
In our listing, we have a Sourcewell contract. Equipment will be $57,619.14. We have a $5,200 trade-in. So the total cost would be $52,369.14. So it would be over the $50,000 mark. I didn't know anything about that. I was just asking for, why sometimes we surplus, why sometimes we trade in. But do you think at this is all right to do with it?
I'd have to look at further on the trade-in value. Some products that we do surplus, we do just save it for an auction at a later date. I'd have to refer to bid law to investigate that more. Another thing to point out too is you could look at the two different items between the Bobcat loader versus the snow blower. So there's different thresholds there. I have not seen the quote, so I don't know the details of that contract.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, I'm just doing it for clarification. I'm not trying to be foreign by any means. I was just when you had stated the $50,000 in the trade-in, that's where I've got a little bit of confusion. I'm just not, I don't know exactly which way that is.
City Manager, did you have something?
I was just thinking about maybe answering it in a little bit of a different way. I mean, apart from what the state requirements are, I think the department heads also look at what kind of shape is the piece of equipment in. And in this case, my understanding is the Parks Department is saying the current piece of equipment we have is in good shape. We just don't use it as much as we thought we would. And there's something we can use more. And so let's trade this one in while there's still a good value to it, while we think we can get something decent out of it. At least we know the concrete trade-in price, whereas if we put it on Sourcewell, we put it on Purple Wave. I was going to say Blue Pig. I don't know what that is. That was pizza. If we were going to put it on Purple Wave, we might get a good price. We might not. So that was my line of thinking, that they felt that, at least we know what we can get out of it, and we will then supplement to purchase something that they can actually use more all season. So rather than answering it from the finance side of it, looking at it from considering the use of the equipment, the hours on the equipment, and then how well the equipment is used. As a determination whether they want to, whether they surplus or put it on the auction in the fall.
And one thing to note, just because it's surplus does not mean that we'll dispose of it with a trade-in per se. Surplusing is just saying it's to be disposed of in accordance with South Dakota codified law.
Thank you.
Good question, Commissioner. Okay. Again, we have a motion and a second. Any more commission discussion? See no mics come on. Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Spencer.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Birch.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Conkling.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva.
Aye, motion passes. Okay, item number 8, salary adjustments. Consideration of memorandum number 26-61, recommending that the City Commission approve. Resolution number 26-15, the salary adjustment for the city manager. Resolution number 26-16, the salary adjustment for the finance officer. And resolution number 26-17, the salary adjustment for the city attorney. Now, just want to explain this. We are going to have to vote individually on each person, each resolution. I do question if we shouldn't be having a separate agenda item per each, but I think we can do this, okay, Ross, if you're good with voting on each resolution, and then three separate motions, but then do we have to pass the agenda item itself?
No, you're actually just passing each resolution as
Okay.
a separate motion.
Okay. Okay, so let's do this. So we have the first one up here would be the salary adjustment for the city manager. Lisa, do you want to go through any of these adjustments?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Would you say what the salary adjustment is, please?
Sure. For the first city manager adjustment, let me look here. The city manager adjustment is to $175,791.
Okay, so that would be our first resolution that we'll be voting on. Do I have a motion to accept that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second on accepting that resolution. Any commission discussion on that resolution?
I would just like to point out that that's just the same increase that other employees received, percentage-wise.
Thank you, Brian. Okay. Anyone else? Any other comments? Okay, so we'll do a roll call then on that resolution.
Benson.
Aye.
Birch.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Conkling.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva.
Aye. The resolution is approved. We'll move on to the next resolution, number 26-16, the salary adjustment for the finance officer. Lisa, would you please read that one for me?
That salary is $125,085.
Thank you very much. Okay, so do I have a motion to accept that resolution?
So moved?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on accepting that resolution. Any commission discussion? Anyone-
Once again, I think it should be noted that this is the same increase that all city employees got, and it's the same for all these increases in this resolution, or these set of resolutions.
Correct. Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, again, any more commission discussion? Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Birch.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Conkling.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva.
Aye, that resolution passes. And last but not least, resolution number 2617, the salary adjustment for the city attorney. And Lisa, would you please give us that one too?
That salary is $95,539.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept that resolution?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Brunick.
Aye.
Conkling.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Birch.
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva.
Aye, that resolution passes. So in total, we've voted on each individual resolution, which then passes our salary adjustments. That's item number 8 on the agenda. Okay, next, we have the special events alcoholic beverage license. Consideration of memorandum number 26-62, recommending the city commission approve the application for a special on-sale liquor license for one day, April 11th, 2026, from Riverfront Brewery, Inc., 101 East 3rd Street, Yankton, South Dakota. The event will take place at St. Benedict Catholic Church, 1500 St. Benedict Drive, Yankton, South Dakota. Commission, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second on the floor. Any commission discussion? See no mics come on. Anyone from the public? See no movement? Roll call.
Conkling.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Birch.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva.
Aye, motion passes. Item 10, the building height maximums. Consideration of memorandum number 26-63, recommending the city commission provide staff direction if they want with planning commission to make a recommendation regarding building height maximums in any zoning districts. We'll go ahead before we have any motion on that. Let's have some discussion. So what's the discussion?
I'm just looking at this issue that Mr. Rupiper requested where he wanted to add that restroom to his sky deck, and the restroom will actually be shorter than the elevator that is currently there. And it just, apparently the restroom is considered, height that you would count, and the elevator is not. But to me, it would be harmless to find a way, whether through a variance or whatever the commission chooses, to grant him that request.
Okay, and Mr. Bies came up to the mic.
Yeah, I think maybe looking at things that extend above the height maximum would be a good way to think about it. So when you have a height maximum, you have to choose where you're going to measure from. So in a flat roofed building, parapets are not included. It's the roof deck level. So parapets of buildings extend above the height maximums. You could measure to the parapet, but that would change the designs of some buildings, as well as antennas, smokestacks, things that are not commonly considered part of the building. If you think about a building that has a pitched roof, that's measured at an average level of the height rather than the peak, understanding that the roof pitch might be different for similar structures, but the fairest way to come up with a height maximum there is to come up with an average based on that height. The question about a variance is a good one. It would be really inappropriate to look at that for a variety of reasons. One is state law specifically talks about, I think I quoted it in there, granting of variances to the regulations adopted in specific cases in order that the unwarranted hardship which constitutes an unreasonable deprivation of use as distinguished from the mere grant of a privilege may be avoided, as well as our own ordinance, which talks about alleviating a hardship approaching a confiscation. There's another way of thinking about it, which is the case law related to variances, which is shown as recently as last year when the folks up in McCook County in their zoning board of adjustment reduced a side yard setback from 9 feet to 7 foot 3 inches. The Supreme Court reversed that decision based on the argument that a variance should be granted specifically that the property is itself in a unique situation rather than the owner desires some special privilege or an exception, or that the owner has created a situation of their own making. Then there's and I'll defer to Ross on this, there's the constitutional issues related to due process where similarly situated people with similar situations are treated differently. That's the difference between a variance being a quasi-judicial action where you all sit as a judge and determine the facts of the case as compared to the law versus a legislative one where you guys get broad leeway to change the rules for everyone, which is in my recommendation there, you avoid the dangers of being reversed and remanded by the Supreme Court based on a lawsuit. If you desire a change, the legislative process is the right one.
Good explanation. Okay, Commission, so they're asking for direction with this discussion. What are we looking at here? We want to talk more. Is it possible, Dwayne, to pull up zoning or different zoning maps so we can all kind of take a look at that and people online can too?
Well, I'm looking at it from, sorry.
Go ahead.
His local gentleman, local businessman who's spent a lot of money, invested a lot in Yankton. He's invested a lot in this project. You know, we oftentimes see big developers come in and everything seems to flow easy. I just think we need to find a way to help resolve this issue, whether it be modifying the code a little bit. I think it would be appropriate.
So question, Brad, your recommendation is that we legislatively do this with a recommendation going to the Planning Commission if we want to have this further discussed or changed?
Yeah,
is your recommendation?
As you know, this was not a staff directed. This wasn't something that came up in the comprehensive planning process or something we've heard from a number of folks about over recent years. We try not to make frequent changes to the zoning ordinance because they have significant impacts on people's property rights. And so we try not to frequently change the zoning ordinance so folks understand the rules and they comply in a way that they understand what their neighborhood is going to look like. If you choose to change it, if that's the recommendation, the Planning Commission makes a recommendation after a public hearing, and then the ordinance process continues as normal. This is not one where we have a staff recommendation because it wasn't one that bubbled up from kind of a large number of people requesting a change, which was the case in previous times, the 2021, I can't remember if it was 21 or 20, with the previous 21, with the previous revision, which was based on an outdated, kind of an outdated height based on current building designs. That's where if you look at the other communities, the goal there was to fall basically in the middle of other communities. If you look at some of where other communities are, we're still in the middle. Other communities have more complex overlay districts and other complex setback rules. So some communities will have larger heights, but then as a building gets taller, require side and rear yard setbacks, which effectively limits building height because if you're in a dense urban area and you start to have 20 and 30-foot side yard requirements, well, that's going to require a parcel so large it will never be practical to build a tall building. Some people have impervious surface requirements for storm drainage, which means that if a certain amount of the property can't be covered in a building, and so I only say those things not to say that I have a particularly strong feeling about what the sort of Goldilocks height is, but that it's not as easy as looking at other communities and saying, you know, this is what it is. The two largest communities in the state have a variety of dense urban districts, so they may not have a limit in their dense downtown districts. They do as they step down. As you know, Yankton doesn't have a tall, dense urban core that steps down to something else. So our B3 district abuts, as you can see from the map, a lot of single-family homes, and so that's part of the give and the take of any height requirement. Is you have to imagine that a structure, and right now at 65 feet, could be adjacent to a bungalow from 1910 at 65 feet. And that's something the ordinance is saying, well, in this area, we're going to allow those larger heights. Again, I don't know that there's a Goldilocks. We also don't have, as I tried to indicate in here, a long track record of multi-story structures in our urban core where we would say, I could give you a lot of examples of how 80 or 90 or 100 or 110-foot structures have affected adjacent properties, because we just don't have those examples. I think scale and scope is part of the thing that people have to try to balance when they think about height maximums in any zoning district.
Well, and that's a good point, Brad. One of the things that I think we should also look towards the future. I mean, it would be really awesome if there were some other structures down in downtown, the B3 district, that maybe are a little bit higher. I just want to make sure that we're not putting any type of chokehold on our progress either. Yes, Commissioner, go ahead.
Okay, so in looking at this map, I would just caution or say, well, I understand we had one individual that is bringing this to our attention. I don't want to rush into a judgment that impacts greatly one individual. It really needs to be what makes sense for our entire community. So we look at this map, and just for the millions viewing publicly, the building we're talking about is in the pink, right? So that is the 65 feet, right?
Correct.
Gurney Flats, is that at the maximum height? What is that building?
I don't have the exact height. They're another story shorter, so they don't have.
Okay, so they're.
Yeah,
okay.
And when it was amended in 2021, the idea that it would be a full 10 feet higher than any design, including the previous design for Mr. Rupiper structure. This was when that was originally designed, the property went through a number of revisions, a number of redesigns, including after the ordinance was adopted to max out.
Okay, so then in this so Mr. Rupiper's building, in accordance with the elevator's not measured. So you're saying the roof height deck right now is at the maximum height?
Correct, at exactly the maximum. It was designed to be at the maximum.
Okay, and so out of curiosity then, since this is a current ask, how many more feet would need to be added to gain what he would want to do?
I don't know for sure. I'm not trying to not answer your question. I don't know for sure because it was never designed and has, to my knowledge, not been designed.
Well, I'm just saying if we wanted to go back and look at potentially opening this up, because it's a discussion tonight.
Sure.
Do you have thoughts? I mean, obviously, would that be then the tallest, technically, building in the city because of our 65-foot height requirement? I'm just curious to try to get an idea of what that would look like. I mean, minus obviously the smokestack, which can't be counted.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. So yes,
Okay.
other than those things which aren't counted, like water towers, antennas, smokestacks, non-building things, yes. Now, what's the tallest thing? Well, if I build a 50-foot thing on the top of a hill, it might appear from far away as taller than a taller structure built in a lower spot. So when we measure a building height, it's from the average adjacent grade. So to answer your question, yes, but I suppose if you leave town, Bishop Marty Chapel probably looks taller, but it's at the top of the hill. And the Meridian Bridge is taller, but it doesn't look so because it's at the lowest point in town.
City Manager.
My question to Brad was, how tall is the Meridian Bridge?
I think we got 115 feet from adjacent grade, but not the river, because we measured from where the deck of the first level of the bridge hits the ground. It would be taller if you measured from the pilings down on the river.
Understood. Thank you.
Commissioner, go ahead.
Yeah, the only actual structure that would probably be comparable would be the hospital. I think it's probably close to 6 levels, isn't it? Maybe 5, 6, I'm not sure. But I guess the alternative that I'd like us to discuss is, couldn't we add a sky deck restroom to the exemptions that we currently have?
I think technically, yes, if there was a definition of a sky deck restroom. So for instance, I could imagine somebody who was not a good actor, and that is not my intention here to represent the individual we're discussing today as a bad actor. But when we design any zoning ordinance or building code, we have to assume someone will attempt to manipulate the rules to the worst possible outcome. So if somebody were to say, I have a roof deck restroom, it's 500 square feet, and the restroom is part of it, but there's just a very large vestibule outside the restroom. Because we don't have a definition in the zoning code or in building code for what the maximum size of a restroom could be. So a lot of these things are sort of nesting dolls where one definition relies on another definition and without kind of a core definition. And then the other things pass a duct test. You know, a smokestack is a smokestack. If it was 500 square feet, we would know it wasn't a smokestack.
Any other commissioners? Go ahead, Commissioner.
When we passed the 65-foot ordinance, was this one of the buildings that was being thought of at that time? And that was kind of one of the reasons why we went from 50 up to 65?
Yep, it was one of a handful of buildings, including Gurney Flats, that was planning construction, or at least in the initial phases. And based on the designs available at the time, including of this building, the zoning code was amended to be at least 10 foot higher to allow, again, even to allow design changes that didn't add a full story. And again, stories in feet are tough because where ceiling heights in certain structures have increased, we've seen you could get more stories in if your ceiling heights were lower, but the desire for taller ceiling heights has pushed stories higher too. We see that in single-family homes. Some communities are measuring single-family home stories, and heights get a little complicated because people are building homes with very, very tall ceilings.
Okay. That was my recollection too, because I remember, going through that. I thought, we moved the height from 50 to 65 to accommodate, was my understanding. And now we're looking that we built right to the 65 foot. And now we're also asking for a bathroom on the top level. I don't know. When we did accommodate to begin with, it gives me some pause to then accommodate again after the fact. So it's just my own viewpoint.
Commissioner, go ahead.
It just seems like a harmless request. In this case, of course, we know the restroom is going to be actually not as tall as the elevator. And I know we have to be careful about how detailed we get in any exemption we would create, but we don't have a lot of 6-level buildings. It's not like we're going to have another 6-level building tomorrow complaining that we made an exception for this one. It's not going to really harm anybody. It is a very unique structure. I think it would be harmless to grant that request through an exemption or whatever else the commission might want to choose.
And that might be the case. I just want to make sure that anything that we do would be available to anybody else. Variances, I'm very leery of a variance. I think whatever we do for one entity, we're going to need to be able to do in the future for other entities. And I think that's the thing that we have to think about is what are those future ramifications?
That's fair. Commissioner, you going to say something?
Yeah, I just have a clarification question as I'm looking at the map. With the B zoned districts, what's the difference, out of curiosity? Because I see some like B1, which is kind of in our downtown or adjacent to that has a different height. I don't see any B2 unless the green is so small that it doesn't count. I mean, it's the same height as a B3. So I'm just curious, what's the difference or why the difference for those? I get it's zoned that way, but I'm just curious.
You can see a little bit of the green of B3 peeking up there at the top. So Yankton is an older community, so obviously there are areas of transition in town where things used to happen that don't happen anymore. So if you look in our downtown area, and some of you have probably read Karlovitz's and other comments over the years, there used to be a lot of industrial activity that happened downtown. We've shifted away from that. So the thing you didn't mention that you can also see on there is industrial zoning in the downtown, which our comp plan does very clearly address, and our goal over the years has been to rezone those to B3 central business so that we have more compatible uses downtown. I don't think anybody really wants an expansion of heavy industry in the downtown area. So the B3, if we were in a larger community, we would have more zoning districts and more overlay districts, and it would get way more complicated, which is what communities do when they get larger and they tackle difficult concepts. So you would normally imagine the urban core would be a dense zoning district, which the B3 is meant to be. It doesn't have side yard setbacks or off-street parking requirements with the exception of residences in the downtown. So you expect things to be tighter together and a little bit taller. And then as you transition to single family or B1, the yellow, which is local business, those would be buildings generally in the same scale as houses. So generally single story, could be multi-story, but usually the example is always a doctor's office or back when people used to have doctor's offices in single family homes. That scale of a neighborhood business is probably a better way to describe it. And then you step down. The idea being you don't want to transition from really intense uses to residential uses, because that's where the complaints tend to happen. The more dense and the more busy and the more lot coverage you have, the more opportunities you have for tension with single-family homes or multifamily structures next door. If you look up the Broadway corridor, you see the B3 district transition to generally multifamily and then single-family zoning as you step out. The idea being denser, more intense, stepping down to less intense. B3 is a little bit of an oddity because we don't have really a transition. We transition from the B3 to what is multifamily zoning, but practically speaking is primarily single-family homes in that zoning district. Sioux Falls, Rapid City have 2 or 3 different step-downs and overlay districts and requirements. And you see from some of the other communities, trying to balance that tension between business and residential occupancies, which there's no perfect answer. And I'm not here to say what we do is perfect because there's no perfect one.
Well, and what I'm hearing you say, Brad, too, is that we have to be very careful about doing any type of going through the process correctly as opposed to potentially having pitfalls in a variance or doing something like that where it could be challenged, et cetera. But it also sounds like if there's any traction of looking at this again, looking at the height requirements and going through the process, which we were talking might be like 90-ish days to go for like the planning commission and then going through the notification and then the second hearing. I could see us doing that if the commission is amenable to that, but I think that the right way to do it would be to follow that process just so we're not potentially going to have any issues.
Brad, could you address what the height of the building, I know it's 65 feet or 60, okay? Mm-hmm. What is the height of the elevator shaft or the elevator tower above that?
I think to the peak it measured at 80.
That's 15 feet. I'm trying to recall what Mr. Rupiper said would be the height of the restroom he wishes to add.
He did not have a design.
It would be less than 15, I'm presuming.
City manager?
I was just going to add that, we do see some opportunity for some redevelopment in the downtown with some recently sold properties, and I don't know anything, but I would expect that we will see more multifamily housing. I hope that that's what we see in the downtown. I certainly don't want to block views of the river, but I think that it's fair to expect that some of those might be taller than what we see with Gurney Flats. So I think that if the commission feels like they want to increase the height level, I don't think you would necessarily be looking at particularly doing it for one property owner, because I think you'll be having this discussion again in the future, hopefully in the near future. So looking at perhaps other communities who've done some of this, where they might have some commercial on the first or second stories, or commercial and professional, and then third, fourth, and fifth stories, what their heights are, or perhaps maybe in the central business district taking away the height restriction, that's a consideration as well. Knowing that then that applies to everyone in that district, of course, but I personally think you'll be having this discussion again, or if not you, a future commission will be wrestling with this as we've seen the riverfront develop, and I think Mr. Rupiper's building is just a great echo of what has already started down there already. So I think you or future commissions are going to see more of that.
Very good point. Okay, commissioners, what else we got?
No, I was just going to say, I think what you were saying, Mayor, is to go ahead and bring this back to the Planning Commission. I by no means want to like double any heights or make it unlimited, but I do think kind of with everything that's going on, or just with what City Manager Leon said, I would be very interested if the Planning Commission would be interested in looking at increasing some of these, especially in the business district, maybe 10 or 15 feet
Yes.
to accommodate building changes and needs into the future. So I would support that. I think that's where you were going
Yep,
with that.
that's where I was going with that. Commissioner, you popped your mic on.
Yeah, I'd echo the same thing. I think if we look at our mission statement and what we're all about and this development going on here, and I think I agree with Commissioner Hunoff, it seems like a reasonable request for this one example. If it will lead to other ones in the future, great. I noticed a couple of them have no limits. I lived in Huron for 4 years. They have a 7-story building downtown with unlimited. Must work for them, but I think we've got a great resource, obviously, right there at the footstep of these properties with the Missouri River and the Missouri River Valley, and it would just be, I think, I look at our mission statement in the back, if we want to make an opportunity. I think of the situation, Mr. Rupiper's got residents living in that facility, and they have an event upstairs on the top floor, and someone says, hey, Larry or whoever, where's the restroom? Well, you got to go to the basement. You got to go to the first floor, or go to Ben's apartment, because that's the only place we can go. And I'm like, I can just hear the reaction of people saying, "Really? You don't have one of these up here? Why is that?" And you can hear the end. If we don't do something different for this one, and I understand the ramifications for ones in the future, like, well, I couldn't get it zoned right, and I guess you might say I screwed up. I didn't get it drawn right. But I just think being adaptable, flexible, and having everybody work together to create opportunities for everybody. I'd recommend we get this to the Planning Commission and get something ironed out and move that process along as fast as we can.
Agreed, well said. Commissioner, are you all on board with that?
I think so. Are we hearing mostly about increasing the height? Because I still like the idea of, I'm going to read a sentence here. The ordinance exempts roof structures for the housing of elevators, stairways, parapet walls, and similar structures. We could just simply add the word restrooms to that list and have the Planning Commission consider that also as one of the options.
Yes, Fred.
Commissioner, I appreciate it. It's the same process, and so if we're going to raise it for that, I think you are likely to be approached by somebody who has another yet on thought of roof structure that they would like an exemption for as well. And once there are things that are obviously not ancillary. I mean, HVAC is ancillary. Nobody's going to a rooftop asking to see the HVAC units. If it's an occupiable space, I think people will have other sorts of occupiable spaces or structures or shade features or other things that don't fit into it. And I'm afraid we'd be back at the same. If the interest of the commission is to legislatively raise it, I think legislatively raising it for all occupied uses that aren't clearly ancillary makes more sense than a very long list of ordinance amendments for exceptions.
Okay, so again, Commissioner, what I'm hearing you say is that we'd like to kick it back to the Planning Commission and look at what height we would like to bump it up to. I think that seems very reasonable. Is that okay, everybody? Okay, that's the direction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, number 11, Cedar Street Bridge Improvement Grant with the SDDOT. Consideration of memorandum number 26-64, recommending that the City Commission approve memorandum number 26-64, authorizing the city manager to sign the State of South Dakota Department of Transportation Bridge Improvement Grant Agreement for rehabilitation replacement, local administration for the replacement of structure number 68-121-204 on Cedar Street. Commission, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. And can we get Amy, would you like to give us a little explanation, please?
Sure. This is a long time coming. We've been talking about replacement of the Cedar Street Bridge for 10 or 12 years. So this is the grant we've been hoping and waiting for. All told, the project is in the amount of about $5.2 million. Our total grant dollars will be $2,641,500. Our hope is that if approved tonight and the mayor gets things signed in blue, that we'll get this overnighted to Pier, because we only have 30 days to accept this agreement. And we will begin the bidding late summer, and hopefully have construction begin in the fall, with a timeline hopefully for the end of next year. If approved, you will also see another in the future engineering agreement for construction services or construction management with Banner Engineer, who did the specifications in the future to be on site and manage the actual project. So if there's any other questions, I'm happy to discuss.
Questions for the city manager? Okay, seeing no mics come on. Anyone from the public? Okay, roll call.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Birch.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Conkling.
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva.
Aye, motion passes, and I will sign that in blue. Number 12, exclusive alcohol vendor contract. Consideration of memorandum number 26-65, recommending the city commission approve resolution number 26-18, the exclusive alcohol vendor contract for music at the Meridian and this July 4th celebration for 2026 at the established fee of $500. Commission, do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Seeing no mics come on. Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Mosier.
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Birch.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Conkling.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva.
Aye, motion passes. Item 13, mowers for the cemetery. Consideration of memorandum number 26-71, recommending the city commission approve the purchase by the Parks Department Cemetery Division of two 2026 Hustler Fast Track 54-inch rear-wheel drive mowers in the amount of $9,900 after trade-ins from Schurman's Farm Supply, Avon, South Dakota. It is also recommended the city commission adopt resolution number 26-19 and authorize the disposal, trade, donation, or sale of surplus property. Commission, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion?
I have a simple question. I'm just curious why they weren't purchased local. Was it a big discrepancy in price, or was it the bidding process?
Question. Todd is coming up to the mic.
No, nothing that locally has done anything wrong. Chris has worked with Skierman's Avon for the last 6, 7, 8 years. So we could get a bid again from the local and see where they come in at for comparisons. But no, local didn't do anything wrong. Chris has just been doing business with Sherman's now for the last 6 years on these mowers. So.
I'm not going to ask for a rebid or anything like that, but I would just hope in the future maybe give locals a shot to.
Yeah, he's done different type of mowers. We've had Skag mowers out there. We've had Cub mowers out there. So, yeah, I'll make a note, and next year we can easily enough do that. That's not a big deal.
Yeah, point noted, Commissioner. Any other commission discussion? Okay, anyone from the public? Roll call.
Mosier.
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Birch.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Conkling.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva.
Aye, motion passes. Item number 14, purchase of historic and roadway LED light fixtures. Consideration of memorandum number 26-67, recommending the city commission approve the purchase of 30 new LED light fixtures in the amount of $34,491 for the Department of Public Works Street Division. Commission, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion?
Can you give us an idea of where these lights are going to be installed?
Yes, I can. So we are in a cycle. Of course, we'd like to replace all of our lights, but we've started to budget $50,000 every year to replace our current lights with LED lights for energy efficiency. So these historic lights will be on the east, will start at the east end of the downtown Meridian District, and the 15 larger Cobra headlights will be on the east end of 4th Street. So that's where we'll start and work our way through the community. Wish we could buy more, but they are rather expensive. So we're just working as we can each year to get them replaced as we can.
Thank you.
Good question. Yes, Lisa. Oh, okay. Any other questions? Okay. Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Spencer?
Aye.
Benson?
Aye.
Birch?
Aye.
Burnick?
Aye.
Conkling?
Aye.
Hanoff?
Aye.
Mosier?
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva?
Aye, motion passes. Item 15, Downtown Facade Grant Recommendation 2026. Consideration of memorandum number 26-68, recommending that the City Commission approve offering grant agreements to the projects selected and recommended by the committee. The selected projects are number 1, 235 Broadway, Taylor and Tara Portillo, TNT Holdings LLC, and number 2, 302 West 3rd Street, Philip Wohlers, 302 West 3rd LLC. And could we get some explanation of what the project are, and how they're going to move forward?
I will let Mr. Ambrosian walk you through that and walk you through the committee's decision-making process.
All right, thank you, Mayor Villanueva and the commission. So this is the 11th year for the facade grant program in downtown Yankton. We had a pretty good slate of applications to consider this year. We ended up with 9 applications to review, and so the two you see on the screen are the ones that the committee had selected or recommended for approval for grant funding. And the committee was made up of Commissioner Birch and Amy and Crystal Nelson or Crystal Mensch and let's see, Kristen Blom and Evie Syme. And then we at the Community Development Department kind of sat in on that meeting as well. So the project that you see there at 235 Broadway is going to involve the removal of the existing glass and doors on the main floor on Broadway. Also, removal of the glass block above in the transom area above that sign. So this is, if you're familiar, this is the Grandma's Treasure building right next to Muddy Mo's Coffee House. The plan is to put in new windows, new doors, and then in place of the glass block, there will be sort of a vertical board and batten siding put in. If you can remember last year, it'd be very similar to what was done to the Forte business on 3rd Street. Anything that is not brick on that building on the north and east sides will be painted. And so the committee looked at that and the total cost and decided to offer a $15,000 grant award to that project. The other one, this is I think we've all affectionately called it the Abe Lincoln Building at 302 West 3rd Street. The grant application had some very nice looking pictures in it that would show kind of the end game or the kind of the final situation or the final project. What we had to clarify is that we weren't necessarily funding to that stage. This is merely a first phase or a first step towards a full renovation. So this is involving, cleaning the brick, reworking or tuck pointing the brick, fixing water issues on all sides of the building, plus paint removal. And so at this point, paint is not part of the project, but it may in the future. The applicant did actually have a rendering showing what the front of the building, I guess, on 3rd Street would look like without paint, and that would be probably just as presentable as the rendering on the other side, which was kind of a light color base and dark color over the windows. So that one coming in at about $35,000. And so the committee recommended $15,000. This was the oldest building of the group of applications that we reviewed. And again, the committee, we're very good at looking at what would be the impact on not just downtown Yankton, but the community as a whole. In terms of the social context, the economic impact that the project would have. So again, they made a $15,000 award recommendation to that building as well.
Yes, Commissioner, go ahead.
So right now, we have the brown brick facing 3rd Street, and then facing Cedar, the white brick. Did you say there is or is not plans to remove the white paint from the?
Yes, paint removal is part of that, this project that he has requested grant funds for.
I'll just give you a little bit of history. Yes, it's called the Abe Lincoln Building now, but the historic name is the Sawyer Building. It was built by a brother and sister with the last name Sawyer, and Minnie Sawyer was actually murdered in one of those second-story apartments. But it used to be each block downtown had an identity, and that was the Sawyer block, which was anchored by the Sawyer Building.
Yes, Commissioner, go ahead.
Eric, out of curiosity, I tried to see in the packet, maybe I missed it. How many total applications were received this year that were evaluated?
9 applications, and actually for the longest time, from the point that we advertised the program or promoted the program, I think we had maybe 2 in our office floating around, and then the last week a lot of applications started coming in, but I'd say every one of them were very, very good, very well written, presented, very well presented. So the committee had a pretty tough decision to make on these awards.
Yeah, I feel for you that would have had to have been a hard decision to make, but I thank you and the committee for doing all this work. I think it's so important that we reinvest in our community partners' buildings, and one of the beautiful things about Yankton is it's such an awesome historic city, and I feel these buildings are treasures, and it's what makes Yankton unique, in my opinion. And so I think reinvesting in our city is really important, so thanks for being part of that process.
It was fun. It was my first time with the program, and yeah, definitely exciting.
Yeah, and thank you to our community partners for stepping up and sprucing up their buildings. We appreciate that. Okay, any other commission questions? Yes,
Just one question for Eric. Just curiosity, is this building inhabited with residents and apartments upstairs? Do you have any idea?
The upper floors are kind of a short-term rental, kind of like an Airbnb type of operation. The first floor is still, well, part of it is for the Airbnb. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brad. Long-term, yes, okay. But there would be plans for commercial space on the first floor as well.
Okay.
But again, that's up to the developer, up to the builder.
Yeah, just curious. Thank you.
Okay, any questions, Commission? Okay, so do I have a motion then?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor. Any more commission discussion? Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Benson.
Aye.
Birch.
Aye.
Burnick.
Aye.
Conkling.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva.
Aye, motion passes.
Thank you.
Item 16, bid award, 30th Street and Adkins Drive reconstruction project. Consideration of memorandum number 26-69, recommending the City Commission award the reconstruction contract for the 30th Street from West City Limits Road to Adkins Drive and Adkins Drive from Mulligan Drive to South Dakota Highway 50 to Holstein Excavating, Inc., in the amount of $1,254,957.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a motion and a second. And can we have, Amy, would you mind giving us some clarity, please?
Yes, this is, if approved, will be awarded to Holstein. This is the same contractor that we worked with on Walnut Street and this past summer and Cedar Street. This project does not include utilities. It's road only. This will be a phased project, so at all times, residents will have access to the Fox Run development, so folks out there can be sure of that. Also want to be sure to let you know that this project will go all the way to the south to Abbott Drive. So that was a question I think we talked about when we were in our budgeting process. So we have seen with all of these projects a lot more interest in our projects, in our bidding, which is good for pricing. So this is one of the many street projects we hope to have completed this summer. And let's see, there were four bids, and it came in underneath the engineer's estimate and underneath the budgeted amount.
Okay, thank you. Okay, give me a motion, a second. Any more commission discussion? Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Birch.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Conkling.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva.
Aye, motion passes. Number 17, bid award, 3rd Street replacement between Mulberry Street and Peacock Street. Consideration of memorandum number 26-70, recommending the City Commission award the contract for the 3rd Street replacement project to Masonry Components, Inc., in the amount of $474,277.03. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Yes, Commissioner.
My civil engineer husband always loves how horrible I am with roads in town. He'll be like, it's this road. I'm like, I don't know. But doesn't this now impact our established parade route? With it being on 3rd Street, Todd, doesn't it also include Mulberry and Peacock, or would Pearl stop before Peacock? It doesn't impact the established parade route we just set up. Does anybody know that?
Let Todd take a look at the map while I'm telling you a little bit about the project. So,
Thank you.
This project also does not include utilities. It does, however, wanted to point out to the commission and the community that it does include some new sidewalk on the south side of the project between Pearl and Peacock. So that is something for the community to know. Also, somebody might think, did we not do Peacock recently, or quasi-recently? We did. We did this section at the same time when we did some work on Whiting Drive. Just got some concrete that didn't perform as well as past concrete has, and so needs to be redone. And so our guys go out every year and take a look at the conditions of the street, and this is one that needs to be addressed. So that is why you see it before you again. This one came in slightly higher than the estimated engineer's estimate, but still under budget, so we were okay there. Any findings, staff, on the parade route? I'm not looking at the comparison.
I am chuckling at how many people it takes to replace Adam.
It takes a village, but we're doing what we can.
Yeah, Mulberry would be west, Pearl would be west, and then you reach Peacock. So I believe we said we would not let them go any further than Pearl. So the one block between Pearl and Mulberry, if that's what's spelled out in the street project.
One thing I don't have, Commission, is the timing of these projects. So I can certainly look into that. Oftentimes, the contractors will help us out by working around some of the events. And because these don't include utilities, they will move along a lot faster than other projects. So we'll take a look and get the timing, and I'll make sure we're communicating with you. And then also, if they would impact any of our special events, we'll make sure we communicate through Luke and through the event organizers.
Okay, thanks for that explanation. Yes, Commissioner, go ahead.
And lastly, it did come in a little bit above the engineer's estimate. However, we did have six different contractors that put in bids, competitive bids.
Yes, yes. And, oftentimes they're estimating these projects the year before. And so, it is difficult to know exactly where, what quantities are going to come in and what the mobilization costs and things like that. And so pretty close, but we are okay budget-wise. So not often we get surprises. We're typically under both estimates and budget.
Okay. Any other questions for Amy? Any engineering questions? Put her on the spot. Okay, seeing no mics come on. Anyone from the public? Okay, seeing no movement, roll call.
Brunick.
Aye.
Conkling.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Birch.
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva.
Aye, motion passes. Number 18, we're almost there, folks. Bid award, apron replacement project at the Chain Gurney Municipal Airport. Consideration of memorandum number 26-66, recommending that the City Commission award the Chain Gurney Municipal Airport reconstruct apron and rehabilitate taxiway project, IIJA AIG, number 3-46-0062-040-2026, and AIP number 3-46-0062-041-2026, as described in the attached KLJ letter of recommendation to Timmons Construction, Inc. for $1,347,369.65, and authorize the city manager to execute all contract, grant, and engineering consultant documents associated with the project. And should we get some explanation before I entertain a motion, please?
Yes, so this is the airport reconstruction apron and rehabilitation of the taxiway. Timmons Construction out of Brookings, South Dakota is the low bidder. This contract, if approved, is contingent pending upon the grant award. And I want to make sure that everyone's clear that the FAA knows that you're considering this action tonight, and that they also know that we bid this out. They approved us doing this. We already have done our pre-grant application, if you'll remember this. So final approval would be this spring for the grant dollars. So we feel pretty confident about that. And the contractor also knows that this is contingent upon us being awarded grant funding. So if something would happen at the federal government level that would surprise us, everybody is aware that, it's contingent upon grant funding. So that's what we're asking tonight, and this is completely compliant with all FAA regulations.
Okay, thanks for the explanation. Commission, do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any more commission discussion? Seeing no mics come on, anyone from the public? Seeing no movement, roll call.
Conkling.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Birch.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva.
Aye, motion passes. Number 19, professional services agreement for the Chain Gurney Municipal Airport reconstruct apron and rehabilitate taxiway project. Consideration of memorandum number 26-72, recommending the City Commission authorize the city manager to sign and execute the agreement for professional services for the construction, administration, and construction observation with KLJ Engineering, LLC, for the Chain Gurney Municipal Airport reconstruct apron and rehabilitate taxiway project. FAA project numbers AIG number 3-46-0062-040-2026 and AIP number 3-46-0062-41-2026. Said recommendation is contingent upon approval of memorandum number 26-6666, which recommends the approval of the bid award for the project. Commission, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion, a second on the floor, and Amy, would you like to?
Yes, this is in the amount of $335,000. This is with KLJ. KLJ Engineering are the folks that we have selected to serve as our airport engineers. And the reason for the large amount on this project is KLJ does more than be on site during the project. They also help us administer the FAA compliance for the grants, which is very detailed and very involved. And so that's part of what we're paying for there, is to make sure that we're meeting all the federal requirements in the grant. And so if approved, they'll be involved both in the construction management of the project, the grant compliance, the grant reporting, and then following through with us what we need to do after the grants, for the grant assurances going forward. And so that's a big deal. We have a lot of multi-million-dollar grants involved at the airport, and they help us manage those as well. So that's all wrapped into this item. Happy to answer any questions that you or Ross has.
Any other questions for the city manager? Okay, seeing no mics come on, anyone from the public? Roll call.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Birch.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Conkling.
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva.
Aye, motion passes. Excuse me. Number 20, Mayor's appointment to Consolidated Board of Equalization. Consideration of memorandum number 26-73, recommending the City Commission approve the mayor's appointed 3 commissioners to serve on the Consolidated Board of Equalization and 1 commissioner to serve as an alternate. So, Commission, do I have some people that would love to serve on the Board of Equalization? Oh, yes, City Manager.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate, because we did have an error in the packet. The board is set for Tuesday, April 14th at 11 a.m. for the opening of the Board of Adjustments, and then Friday, April 24th, starting at 11 a.m. for the appeals. And then just to give everybody an idea, last year the commissioners were Benson, Brunick, Villanueva, Hunhoff as the alternate. 24, Benson, Hunhoff, Villanueva with Johnson as the alternate. 2023, Brunick, Villanueva, Weber with Benson as the alternate.
Okay. Commissioners who would like to be on the Board of Equalization?
I can make myself available in any form or fashion that's needed.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Birch.
Anyone else?
Can you clarify, is there an actual meeting on the 14th, or is it just opening and nobody has to be there?
It's opening. You're supposed to be there. I believe you can call in, if I'm not mistaken, but it's very simple and quick. The opening is very, very easy, 5-10 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
I can't make the 14th work. I can do the 24th, so if you want to list me as an alternate, that might work. If there's a meeting on the 14th,
Sure.
I can't do that, but I can do the 24th, so.
So alternate on the 24th?
Well, I think you're
on the
alternate
14th?
for the process. I don't know if you do alternate per meeting, but, which I guess you can clarify. I don't want to muddy the waters. I'm just saying there's not a lot of mics coming on, so.
Sure.
If you have to promote me
Sure.
to doing it, I just may have to miss one of the meetings.
Okay. So you're in for an alternate? For sure. Okay. Mosier? Okay, now I do know that Commissioner Sarda said that he could do the 24th, but he could not do the 14th.
Same meeting.
What's that?
Same meeting.
Yeah, right. Okay, anyone else? Wow. Okay, well,
I could do the 14th, and not sure about the 24th, but I could, you said the 24th at 11 o'clock?
24th, yes, 24th is at 11 a.m., and that's the longer meeting.
It's easy for me to pop over for the opening meeting on the 14th, but I knew I couldn't make the 24th work.
Okay, so I have Birch for both. I have Benson for the 14th. And then I have Mosier as an alternate for both. Correct?
I can do the 24th, I just can't. It might have to be a couple of us, I guess, more than 3. Can we legally do more than 3?
Well, that's a great question.
The same 3.
Ross?
Sorry. I wasn't on mic, so probably, sorry to the listening public. My question was, as you can hear, we're having issues getting 3 of us that can do both meetings. Can we do certain commissioners on the 14th and other commissioners on the 24th, or does it have to be a set amount, the same people?
Off the top of my head, I have not researched that question. My gut tells me it's fine, it's as long as we've got commissioners that are sitting on that board for those meetings. But to give you an honest answer, I'd probably have to do a little bit of research.
So we could basically look at Commissioner Birch doing both.
Yep.
Commissioner Benson doing the opening, along with Commissioner Spencer at the opening meeting, and then Commissioner Sarda and Mosier added to the 24th with Birch? You think? Do we need to check that to be sure, or?
I'll check, but we can go with that for now, and I'll reach out with the SOS.
Or I'll make it easier. I'll volunteer to do both. So then I'll do the 14th and the 24th, just to make it easier. So we'll have Birch for both, Villanueva for both, and then we'll have Benson for the 14th, but not the 24th. And then Spencer, will have you as an alternate on the 14th, is that correct? Okay. And so then again, for the 24th, the second meeting, the longer meeting, we have myself, Commissioner Birch, Commissioner Sarda, and then again, we have, who said they could do the alternate? Mosier? Okay, perfect. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that was easy. That was easy. Lisa, would you read those back for us, please?
She
ran out of paper.
So I have Mayor Villanueva for both dates. I have Birch for both dates. And then the 14th, I have Benson and Spencer as an alternate. And then the 24th, I have Birch.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yep.
And Mosier as alternate
Yep, and then myself,
for both dates.
Birch, yep, and then Sarda
Oh, and
for
then
the
Sarda
24th.
for the 20th.
Yep, and then
That
Mosier
is-
as the alternate.
That's correct.
Okay, we got it. Okay, so we are going to vote on that. So do I have a motion and a second then to accept those appointments?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Seeing no mics come on. Anyone from the public? Seeing no movement, roll call.
Mosier?
Aye.
Spencer?
Aye.
Benson?
Aye.
Birch?
Aye.
Brunick?
Aye.
Conkling?
Aye.
Hanoff?
Aye.
Mayor Villanueva?
Aye, motion passes. Okay.
So
Yes.
we'll have Ross check into that right away.
Yeah.
And if that's not okay, we'll have to make some.
Make a change, sure.
Make a change.
Okay, thank you. Now we're into future business. So this is the time that the commissioners can address the commission regarding matters not on the agenda. These items will not be deliberated by the governing body and will not be acted upon at this time. Items mentioned may be added to future city commission meeting or work session for deliberation or action. Commissioners, do you have anything you want to add? Yes, Commissioner.
I broached this topic at the park board meeting last week. I've had a number of complaints about a fee that we charge at the Summit Center, and that's a $5 fee if you're a parent or grandparent who wants to go into the pool area and watch, their offspring or their grandkids in the pool. They're fully clothed. They're not entering the pool themselves. We charge those folks $5 a head, and I just wanted to maybe have a commission discussion, and maybe some of those parents would want to come and share their complaints too. I don't know, but if there's another commissioner that's interested in adding that to an agenda, we could do it.
Okay. Any other commissioners want to add that discussion to?
I've heard the same question from public.
Okay. Okay, so we'll add that to the next agenda then. Okay, anything else, Commissioner?
I'd like to take up what Mr. Lindsay discussed, see if there's any interest in that for the Young Eagles
Okay, for the Young Eagles program. Yes.
I'll mark that down. I do want to check with, and I think our chairman is out right now. I do want to check with him and Mr. Hoffner on in your packet, in the airport board minutes from February 18th. It looks like the consensus was that YRA was going to get back with us. So, and that came from Mr. Hoffner. So I just want to make sure everyone's communicating there, but.
Yeah, I know there was some confusion, and I made a suggestion too that was a little different.
Yeah, which I remember I thought was a good one. So, yes, if there's another commissioner interested, I just want to make sure I don't have two different opinions or different sides of it coming at us.
Sure.
I would say having kids that went through that program, I'd be interested in talking more about it. I'm sure there's others up here that had kids that went up in one of those planes. So if there's anything we can do to offset it somehow, and hearing other ideas that maybe the airport board talked about, I'd be interested.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, we'll add that to the next agenda as well. Anything else? Okay, seeing no mics, move on, or come on. Next, do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.